I think the most essential quality for effective leadership in today's environment is clear vision. It might sound a bit contrite, probably overused, and it won't break the sound barrier. People have heard it before. But I think it's one of the things we're struggling with at the moment in the world, which is what is our vision of what we're building? And then more specifically as Africans, what is the vision of what we're doing? And what does that vision look like in the next 10 years, the next 25 years, and the next 50 years? So I think that's probably the most important ingredient. The second most important ingredient would be a clear sense of purpose. Anywhere where you find leaders who have inspired a generation, what allowed them to coalesce that generation is a single mission, a clear sense of purpose. And so what we see with entrepreneurs who are able to build businesses and scale businesses, not only here, but across the continent, is that there's a very clear sense of why they're doing it and a very clear view of what the future looks like.
Yeah, I agree with Vusi. There are very few people that have an extremely clear vision. And let me just ask you a question. What's the vision for Ghana? What's the vision for Nigeria? What's the vision for Congo? South Africa? Can anybody say what's the vision? Prosperity? What is the vision? And if we don't have a vision, what are we working towards? There's a lot more clarity in complaints about what are the issues or what are the problems, but very little clarity regarding solutions, visions, where we want to go. What do we want for our continent? What do we want for our people? Is it healthcare? Can we get specific on that? Do we want state-of-the-art hospitals across the continent that 70% of the population have access to? So if we don't have a clear vision, how can we hold people accountable, meaning our leaders, in terms of, are you getting us closer to the vision? Are you pushing us in the direction we all signed up for? And I just don't see peace. And this is not just an Africa issue. People say, oh, we want world peace. What does that mean? I love peace, but what does that mean? Because there's levels of peace. There are levels of peace. In some ways, the Cold War was peaceful on one level because it wasn't a hot war, directly conflict, but there was conflicts, satellite conflicts. So what is peace? What is success? What is curing hunger? Once we stop taking things on platitudes at face value and say, hey, we just want this, let's get down to specifics, clear visions. And I think that's our job as leaders, to really define a vision. And then what's our purpose? Is the purpose to get to the vision? That's fine. But do we have a clear purpose? Right? Why do we live? Why do we get up every day? What's the duty as an African? What's your duty as a person from Senegal? What's your duty as somebody from Morocco, Egypt? What's our duty? What's our duty as an American? So what's your purpose in life? And are you crystal clear about that? And that doesn't mean your purpose can change, right? Your purpose can change, you can grow, but really spend the time to craft out that purpose. We have to allow people to coalesce, to work together, even if there's not enough money there. This is why a lot of people work at nonprofits, because of a purpose. This is why some people work for governments, because of a purpose, a duty, a calling. That's why people serve in the armed forces. And don't get, there's bad actors in everything, but understanding the power of purpose, because so many times people come to me and say, hey, it's about money, it's about money, it's about money. I saw this great video. I forget whether the gentleman was from Saudi Arabia or Qatar. And they were saying there's more oil in Nigeria than there are in the leading Gulf states. So the money is there, the resources there, is how are we using it? What's our leader's vision? What's our leader's purpose? And I'm gonna go off of Nigeria because I don't wanna seem like I'm singling out one country. But what is the vision? Is the vision to line pockets, to make sure my personal pockets are filled? Or is the vision to improve the country? Meaning that is the vision that I want to make sure that we have major roads leading to every major secondary and tertiary city in our country, right? So people can commute easily and they can get to work and get back and increase the GDP by X percentage, which will mean that we'll only have a 3% unemployment rate among people who really want to work. What's the vision? Because there's enough oil to do that. There's enough minerals to do that. So if there's no purpose, there's no vision, people's just go, you know what? I'm going to line my pockets. And nobody is willing enough to say, no, that's not right. And actually set up plans, procedures, and systems to stop it. So this is something really dire that we need to solve in terms of what is our purpose? What is the overarching vision for a city, for a state, for a country, for the continent, and then for the world? So vision is motivational, but beyond that, after that motivation, it shows you what you need to do to get there. The systems we need to create, the educational services we need to have, the infrastructure needed. What else? The technical skills. What type of training do I have to have as a person in whatever position makes the most sense for this vision? What is the technical skills of a majority the nation needs to have? And really digging it, because at the end of the day, the vision is for not, but I want us to execute also. And that's a whole nother video. So first, let's get the vision and purpose down. And that is going to be a great starting point. So that's all for this video. Do you think there's a clear vision? Am I wrong? Is there a country you really think that's leading the way? Let me know. Please leave that in the comments. And I will love to see that and maybe even shout you out. Take care. God bless. This is Tandian Advisors. Have a great day.